Welcome to Jump School. I'm your host, Ihsaan Ali, aka the StyleJumper. On this podcast, you'll learn a ton of things. We'll talk about style, confidence, etiquette, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Today's episode was brought to you by my new book, Why Style Matters, The Mindset of Dressing Well and How It Impacts Your Life. To get your autographed copy, click the link in the description. Today's guest is an entrepreneur, e-commerce genius and consulting, helping founders scale and exit their brands for more money. The chill, somewhat stoic Gamal Codner. Episode 27. The following is an excerpt from Instagram Live. Let's go.
Yo.
What's up, family? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm excited. I'm humbled to have the opportunity. Yeah.
Yo, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. You're a hard man to catch, so I'm so humbled to be able to have you on Jump School tonight, because you're a busy man, traveling all over the world and doing big things.
COVID slowed that down, but alive and well, very thankful to be here. Appreciate you having me, and I appreciate your patience.
Oh man, that's what it's all about, right? You got to be patient in the pocket. It's all about timing, and sometimes maybe I wasn't ready last year. You know what I mean? Wasn't ready for this conversation. So now, God worked it out. I'm excited. You have the time. So I wanted to just do a quick introduction. So for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for joining Jump School tonight. I have the honor and the pleasure of having Mr. Gamal Codner here with us at Jump School. This is an amazing opportunity. Serial entrepreneur. He is one of those individuals that is so laid back, confident, and chill when it comes to the information he provides. And he's going to help the brother grow that beard a little bit better too. So I can't wait. So everyone, Mr. Gamal Codner, welcome, sir, to Jump School.
Thank you for having me, and anyone on here right now. If we're gonna drop some gems. We've been putting this conversation off for a few months or so actually. So whatever is asked, I'm an open book tonight. So got some experience in growing brands online. I coach a couple of people, partnered with Shopify. Just got word back from them that the program that we did together, the course, Graylin's talking about bears. The program I did partnered with Shopify, and we had over 3,000 people enroll in that last year. So happy to contribute whatever I can here. And also happy to talk about beards, because I've been in the trenches of growing beards and helping men with their confidence for the last 4 years. So wherever the conversation goes, I'm ready.
All right, that's what's up. So I wanted to start the conversation off. You come from a Caribbean family. So tell us about those things and those jewels from coming from a Caribbean family that has made you the young man you are today.
Great question. So started off very humble beginnings. I was actually born in Jamaica, in St. Anne's, right outside of Brownstown, if anyone's from Jamaica. So on the countryside, very quiet, chill countryside upbringing. Came to the States when I was young. My brother and I had very humble beginnings. Our family shared a home with 2 other families, and we just kind of grew up in that. But we're very hardworking people. My grandfather had a side job that he grew, and in that just kind of inspired me to want to get into entrepreneurship. And my family in Jamaica had shops and stuff like that. So I think that was always instilled in me. But one of the things that really helped shape the way I grew was the impact my grandfather had with his small little business, quote unquote small. He was able to help support over 10 families who moved from Jamaica to the US, help employ them, some of which have since then went on to become entrepreneurs, employ other people. So at his retirement party, I just heard all these stories coming back, and people were just giving thanks, and I had no clue how many people he impacted. And so that always kind of resonated with me. Fast forward to now, I think that as an immigrant, which, whatever country you come from, China, Mexico, other places in the Caribbean, Africa, what have you, I think we just have kind of a fighter mentality. Our parents sacrificed a lot to come here. And I think just waking up knowing that what we have is should not be taken for granted, and also escaping where we came from, which is essentially a third world country, to just the land of limitless opportunities. And I try not to get distracted with all the Trump this, the whatever, and I just try to focus on my purpose, focus on my impact, and focus on serving my community so I can spend more time with my family.
Love that, man. So when you growing up, who would you say, I know you mentioned your grandfather, but who would you say was your biggest influence growing up, and what are some things that they taught you?
Yeah, one of the things of life is that I realize different people play different roles in my life at different points in my life. And so early on, definitely my grandfather, but as I got more educated, like whatever I'm doing now is just a nonstop journey of just the pursuit of personal development. Um, I see people who are ahead of me, who are come from the same path as me, and I try to attach myself with them, whether it be mentorship or I pay to be a part of something they do. I just show up and I try to learn from them. And what I realize is that elevates me to the next level. I become aware of new things. You can't want what you don't know. And so I become aware of new things. And once I'm aware of new things, my either mentors or idols or what have you, they shift. And so I've had several throughout the years, whether it be my grandfather early on, my first basketball coach, who was the first person I knew to make six figures in a year. Then I went on to meet some people who made, six figures in a month, a week, a day, a million in a day. And so from a financial standpoint, I have a bunch of people I look up to for advice, and then I have people I look up to spiritually and like just family oriented. So
Hmm.
kind of bucket things because I've learned to not try to expect a lot or everything from everyone. Just see people for where they are and understand what role people have in your life.
Mm. So you became a father in November. Is that right?
I did, man. Nori came into the
Congratulations.
world. She was actually born in October
October.
28th. Hmm.
That's phenomenal. So how has being a father shifted your approach to life, legacy, and even your desire in business?
I'll tell you what, I didn't know I had that much hustle last year until I realized that, we were expecting, and you just start thinking about the future and making sure that this human being who we've asked God to bless us with, that, we're bringing her into an environment that is thriving. And also, I mentioned our humble beginnings, just internally, I wanted to make sure that I brought her into which my parents did a great job setting us up and, elevating us. And all my brothers went to college and got great jobs and stuff. So they did an amazing job. And they've instilled in me, and that's my part to kind of, bring it up a notch with the family legacy. So all that just kind of puts it in perspective. And then when she actually got here, just like overnight, you just redefine what purpose is and like
Mhm.
why you're doing things. And so this year, I've like my business goals have shifted a little bit. I have a part-time coaching program. I select few brands like I personally coach. I mentioned I have a course with Shopify that like 3,000 people went through. I personally coach maybe about 5 to 10 people a month, and I spend a lot of time pouring into them. And because of my daughter in my life, I realized that, I want to do that more and help other people create the type of like options and freedom that fortunately I've been able to provide for my family.
Love that. So what have you learning from all those individuals that have taken your course, maybe 3,000, let's say, but those key individuals that you've been working with, what are some lessons that you're learning as a coach, that's helped you, but also obviously in turn help those?
Yeah, a couple of them are on now too. So that appreciate y'all for jumping on. So a couple of main things is the real thing is it's kind of like face off with the devil,
Mm,
where we are our greatest enemy. And a lot of what we want to achieve in life, as I mentioned earlier, is you can't want what you don't know, but you have to also believe after you find out about it. And I think my purpose in coaching primarily is that I need to be a trailblazer in moving forward in entrepreneurship and one, bringing the people behind me and help making it more predictable for them. So, helping them avoid the traps that I fell through, giving them the tools that they need to be more successful predictably. And also the information. The only thing besides me and someone else who's probably thinking about growing their brand is I just have access to information that I'm able to implement to get results. And so I provide them with one motivation, tools, resources and information and encouragement to go along this journey. And I found that with just those couple of components, they can navigate and get to their end destination faster. And the biggest thing I realized is that people oftentimes don't dream big enough.
Mm.
And when I talk to them early on, there's someone on the call right now. I won't mention who they are, but they just gave me a praise report where they did $5,000 the whole year in their brand,
Mm-hmm.
and my program to get my coaching almost cost the same, right? And so, but in talking with them, I showed them that there's a bigger possibility for them and they have the potential to be a 6, 7 figure brand. And so they found the money and invested. And he told me just last year they did 6 figures.
Oh, wow.
And so there's countless stories like that where, they probably thought this thing that they were building was, a goal of a 10, $20,000 a year. And I'm like, that's a waste of your time. You've got potential to build a 6 figure brand, a 7 figure brand, and just giving them the audacity to dream big and dream scary, and then supporting them along the way and helping them realize that it's important made me realize that that's a big thing stopping people, not dreaming big enough, and then not having the support around them to believe their big crazy dream to help them along that journey.
Why do you think people are so afraid of dreaming big and air quotes playing it small?
Yeah, so there's this thing called the reflection reality or the mirror effect. It's essentially that reciprocal or karma, whatever you call it. But in this particular instance, let's call it the mirror effect. It's essentially that what you put out, like your thoughts, your fears, what you put out is what you see reflected back. And oftentimes the biggest thing is just fear of failure. And I see, like, culturally, I tend to work with like a lot of immigrants, people who sell to like my specific demographics. And a lot of them are first generation, whatever, like they're
Mm-hmm.
the first people in their family who are going after this crazy goal. Or the other people in their family don't openly talk about finances or failures because, we can't talk about failures. We only got to talk about the successes and how
Mm-hmm.
everything's going well. And so it's a lot of fear of failure. A lot of people would rather not pursue their goals because they don't want to try and be embarrassed and fail and having to go through that and stay in their safety net than to go after it. So as I said earlier, I think my purpose in life is just to make this journey less scary, more predictable, and give them the tools, support, and encouragement and information they need to go on this journey. So that's the biggest thing. And I think it starts within us, though. I think sometimes we judge other people or we hear people talk about failure and we have all this slick stuff to say. So when it's time for us to go out on this journey, we think other people are going to be saying the same things we're saying about other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really starts internally, just checking ourselves and making sure we're intentional about what we're putting out there, our thoughts. So we think about other people, just so if nothing else, because it's not polite, but if nothing else, to help, like for a selfish reason, so that you don't have those same limiting beliefs about you and you think other people are doing that, because fear kills a lot more dreams than anything else.
Mm. So you were in sales and you were in corporate America and in sales. So
You
one of
did
the
your
things,
research, man.
oh man, I did my homework, man. If I'm gonna have the man on here, I've got to do my homework. So you're in corporate America in sales, and one of the things that I found, sort of to lean back to this idea of fear, it's like the quote of the golden handcuffs. You're in corporate America, you're making fairly decent money, whether you're, a mature guy or someone that's fairly young, and you don't make that transition. You're always looking like, man, I know I'm so much better than this. I know how much money I'm bringing to the table for the company that I work for. But what was the catalyst for you to make that transition from corporate America in that area of uncertainty, fear, obstacles that will be there, that did show up? What was the catalyst for you to make that transition from corporate America?
Great question. Real quickly, Entitled Saints, shoot me a DM. I have only one spot left. It's essentially lifetime. So we'll talk about that after here, but it's one spot left for the month. So if you're interested, DM me. I'll let me know you saw me on this and we'll go from there. And so amazing question. And I'll answer that two ways. You have to really be careful what you ask for and what you pray for. because it always happens when the time is right, but it never happens how you think it will.
Mm.
And the first piece that I'll say is I had a mentor in corporate, and they told me as a manager that how they come up with people's paycheck, especially in sales when you're generating revenue, is your salary is essentially a fifth of the value you bring to the company.
Mm.
So if you wanted to, if you're making 100,000, the company sees your income potential, your value to the company of about $500,000, 500,000. So when I was thinking about, I was toying with other things. I was trying a bunch of different jobs, bunch of side jobs. I think I had like 3 failed attempts at starting something. In 2 years, I generated like $8,000. Not a lot of money because I was making 6 figures at corporate. And I just prayed about it, God, I think I want to be an entrepreneur. Just let something fall in my lap. Let me figure out what's going on. I'm not going to stop. I was maxing out credit cards, trying out stuff. And a buddy of mine was in internet marketing, a guy I grew up with in the neighborhood. And I convinced him to just teach me what he was doing. One of those stories like Wolf of Wall Street. We met up somewhere. I was like, hey, what do you do exactly? You're doing all this stuff. Log into your bank account. Let me see what you got. He showed me. I'm like, oh crap, there's a lot of money in there. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna come check you next week. I'm gonna take off some days, and I've been learning on the side, doing all the stuff I need to do, and it started going well. So before him, 2 years, $8,000. 90 days working with him and partnering, I had made $102,000 in 90 days. So big difference, right?
Huge.
But I was still fair. Remember, fear gets in the way. I was still afraid to really step out. I was telling myself all these things, but I never pulled the trigger. And I launched my campaign September of 2013. I found myself in March of 2014, 6 months in, still doing the same thing, going to work, and I'm making way more money on the side. But I was afraid, so I prayed to God about it. And within that month, I got fired from my job, essentially.
Oh
Said,
man.
God, show me a sign. Let me know if I need to go step out and do this thing. I thought it was going to be way less dramatic than that. But no, I essentially, my manager was doing some really crazy stuff, and I spoke up about it and blah, 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 and I got kicked out. The best thing that could have happened to me. I told my 2 mentors at the time, all my family members were like, oh man, sorry to hear that. You're going to bounce back. You've been great. You're going to find a new job. My mentor said, man, it's about time because I don't know what was holding you back. I've been trying, like, I didn't want to tell you what to do, but you needed to get out of there. The 7th month, I did 6 figures in that single month. My first month being a full-time entrepreneur, no job to kind of keep me comfortable. I made more money than I ever did. And so the whole point of this story is that, once again, fear is what holds a lot of people back. And in retrospect, I realized that I'm glad I didn't jump out immediately, that I had a safety net built up. I think everyone watching this that's currently in corporate should have, 3 to 6 month safety net, because as soon as I get out on my own, all these random bills came up and a bunch of different things. And I actually have a crazy story. Like within that year, I ended up working on a deal and failed, and I ended up $240K in debt. And there's a whole story about that. So I came out the gate with a great start, and within a year, I ended up 240K in debt of leaving my job. So life is a roller coaster, and just making sure that you have some cushion enough to not panic when things aren't going well, and when things are high, you don't believe that, you're not so cocky to believe that you're the shit and you sit don't stink, and that you realize that God got your back and this is why you're here, and that, when you're doing well, stay modest. When you're doing low, stay modest, and just realize either one of them are only temporary.
So 2 things about that. And you beat me to my next question. One was the power of mentorship, because here you are, you're at corporate America, but you had the foresight and the wisdom to ask for help, and being ready to listen and to follow through and take action when your mentor, the person who who's sharing this information with you. What was the most valuable lesson you learned from that mentor? And then also, the power of prayer and you really like listening to the spirit within and the spirit above?
Yeah, amazing questions. The first question, what I learned from a mentor. The thing I learned from my mentor, pretty much all of them, are that we have these successful people in this bubble or this image that we just make up. And the main takeaway I got from them was that, man, these successful or wealthy or whatever people, they're not more smart, they're not any smarter than us.
Mm,
They either just had access to information or access to like resources, and they actually are just doers. That's the main thing I learned from them. One of the biggest faults of me, which is also the biggest strengths of me, is that I'm always doing things I'm unprepared to do. And the reason I do that now is because I realize those people who are doing it are no more intelligent than I am. They're just trying and they fail along the way. And so how I compensate that is by getting people who have experience. Because once you've done things, certain things a couple of times, you know how to do it better and more successfully the next time. So I'm always doing stuff that I'm never done before. I'm probably underqualified to do. My friends joke about that all the time. I jump out the plane and build a parachute on the way down. And mentorship taught me that. It got me really comfortable taking on crazy things. For specifically that scenario, how I ended up in debt, I was generating all this cash and I wanted to figure out something to do with it. So I wanted to buy into a company. And my mentor said, well, if you're gonna, the same amount of energy it takes to do a small thing, it's the same amount of energy it takes to do a big thing. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna help you. So the second thing I learned is that one, just go after the crazy things. And if you're gonna put the effort in, you might as well set a big and crazy goal. And the second thing is just ask for help. I was so surprised at how these very successful, very busy, just very well-known people were willing to help. And I realized that people just don't help or don't ask. And if they do ask, they don't ask correctly. They
mm,
come with a selfish mindset. And so if you ask with the spirit of reciprocity, like leading with something, it turns out actually very well. Because a lot of these people have weaknesses in areas that I may have expertise in. And so for a lot of younger people, a lot of these older folks, they really want to generally everyone in the world is, especially professionals, they're moving towards doing things that um, elevate their success or their perception of success,
mm,
their status. Everyone's in pursuit of elevated status. And so one of the main things right now that are hot that young people, unsuccessful people, inexperienced people have an advantage on is social media.
mm.
And so at that time, it was something else. But right now, there is a lot of people running 7 and 8 figure businesses that want to become a public figure, want to become an influencer, want to launch a podcast, want to do all this stuff. They have no clue how to do it. And so if you're someone who want that experience, you're growing your following, you understand this stuff. It's a lot more innate. Just figure out an angle and reach out to that person and say, hey, I noticed this, and here's how I think I could add value. And that's how I always start my relationships with these people, with somewhere where I can add value. And they're pretty smart. They're perceptive. They understand that you may want something in return. So just be upfront with them. Like, hey, I'm willing to do this because in a year or so, I want to be able to get into this business, and I would love to just learn from you whenever you have some spare time, or tag along in your meetings and just be in the room while these conversations are going. And I will help you in this. You don't have to pay me. You know, I understand this thing usually charges about 2K a month if you were to go with someone else. Don't worry about paying that. I just want this experience and this value. And a lot of people would take you up on that offer if
Mm.
it's really a good need for them.
So leading with service and value.
Leading with service and value and figuring out and realizing that you have value that these successful people want and would cherish, and just valuing yourself and some of the things that you take for granted, realizing that everyone doesn't take that stuff for granted. And no one, people may not know how to go live or know how to grow their following or know how to run ads. And so just knowing what your value is and leading with that value in a reciprocal arrangement.
Yeah. So you were talking a little earlier. You mentioned this multiple times. This would really made me think about the question of prayer and how that you lean into that divine connection. So can we talk a little bit about that? We don't have to go too deep, but just what that means to you and what we can take from that as we do these things that are scary, as we ask for our dreams to come true, but there has to be some type of, it's like New Edition back, Mr. Telephone Man back in the day, you know, just answer the line. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, man. As I mentioned, the majority of the things I've done in my life, I've been completely unprepared to do it, and I've got it done. Largely because of mentorship taken out, partly because of mentorship taking out like the kind of scary part about it. And then realistically, just because I've got a dope connection with God, man. He listens to me. And I believe in the things that I asked for. You know, I grew up in the church, and just early on, I knew that I was favored, and I realized that I had a purpose in my life. And I think that once we find out what your purpose is in life, you know, God will support anything in service of that. And so I just try to do my part where I can in that journey. And I strongly believe that if you pray or ask about something, if you, you know, God, universe, whoever you are, whatever higher being from my, in me, it's God, and I'm a Christian. And so I believe that, you know, anything I ask for, bro, there's nothing that I can't get and nothing that I can't do. And I 100% believe that. And so prayer is interesting. Like it, you know, you have to pray about it and you have to ask, but you actually have to believe. And that's where a lot of the fall off happens. And you have to be able to get stuff done in, you know, in your time, and not your time, in his time. Because a lot of the times we ask for something we want it done yesterday, it doesn't happen like that. And so oftentimes it doesn't happen like that on purpose, because, you know, he wants to see how you're still acting in pursuit of that, on that journey, right? Because a lot of things, a good thing, a large portion of a good thing can sometimes be a very bad thing. And so, for example, money, you see that all the times where people who have no money get a lot of money all of a sudden. They end up on drugs, and then, you know, people within the lotto 3 to 4 years later, they're in a worse position than they were before they won the lotto. And so I believe, like, during that waiting period, if you just show that you're a good steward of the little that you have, and that you're continuing being faithful about it, and you wake up happy, you wake up thankful each day, the big thing that you're ultimately asking for is absolutely going to happen. And so that's just kind of how I live my life, just thinking crazy, putting it up there, knowing God got me, and just doing my little part. And also with the mirror effect, which is a big component of how I live my life, like it's everything. So while I'm waiting for this blessing to happen, like, you know, when you go out, are you a jerk or are you an asshole to this person? Like, you know, if you're that now, making, you know, a couple of pennies, imagine how you're going to be being a snobby brat driving a Ferrari around town, right? You're going to think you're better than everybody. So you're not prepared for that blessing yet. Are you going to tip? Are you going to tip good when you go out? Are you going to pay tithes or give back to charity? You know what I'm saying? Or give back, or are you just going to think that you're better than everyone? How do you pay your bills? Like, what's your credit like? Like, you know, if you're making 50K a month or 50K a year and you got crap credit, why do you think you're going to all of a sudden be a good steward of your debts when you got $2 million? No, you're just going to get bigger problems. And so just realizing all of that and just being a good steward of the little that you have in anticipation of the big blessing is just a great way to live your life. And I believe if you do that, everyone out here listening, like, there's no reason you shouldn't have what you want.
That's a good word, man. That's a good word.
I appreciate it. Just what I think.
I love it. So let's talk about Fresh Heritage. So how did that really come about? You know, the beard game has been, you know, a new part of the culture, let's say, or revisit to the culture in the last decade. So let's definitely share with us how did it come about?
Yeah, and I'll give you a deeper answer than I think I've ever really shared anywhere else. I was in sales in the financial industry. Got a couple more people in there. What's up, Daniel? And a couple other people. That's my brother from long, long time. Yeah, that's my homie from back in the day. been a big supporter of all my ventures, including Fresh Heritage. I appreciate you. But when I was in corporate, I had to have completely clean shaven face. And when I got let go, that was like my thing I did to rebel. I'm like, yo, I'm
Mm.
free. Like, let me just grow this facial hair. Turns out it's not easy to grow facial hair. And this
Mm.
was in 2014. So I did that for a couple of years, and it just kind of sucked. And I ended up stealing like, stealing my girl stuff, just different things, just borrowing all kinds of pink bottles. And a series of events led to this. And so I have a journal of like $1 million ideas on my notes and just jot down some stuff. And one day I realized that I was trying to buy some beard products and they were always sold out. The other time is I was coming from working out and I was in Target grabbing a bunch of pink bottles and I saw my man from the gym on the same aisle. And in that second, I got kind of embarrassed. I'm like, oh, snap. I felt like I was doing like buying tampons or something. Like, what am I doing down here? Like, I had to justify what I'm doing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, but what are you doing down here? And I'm
Yeah.
realizing, we had like the curly hair thing in the beard. So I'm like, all right, multiple people are having this problem.
Mhm.
And that's always a great opportunity to solve it with an e-commerce product, like realizing that there's something going on in your life that you're uncomfortable about or shouldn't be,
Mm.
and realizing that other people have that same problem. So put a pin on that. I ended up going to a tech accelerator, raised money in Silicon Valley and Wall Street, tried to grow this tech startup and ran out of money. We shut it down. We failed. One of my advisors there ended up building $100 million e-commerce brand, and he just sold it to a $15 billion company right when I graduated.
Mm.
And he was like, what are you going to do this time? And I had been not working for about a year and a half, depleting my savings, and I had some money left. And I was like, you know what? I'm about to go propose to my wife, buy this ring, and I think I want to feel comfortable doing this thing. And I don't think I would have done it because I've never done e-commerce before. Like I said, I'm always doing stuff I'm unqualified for. But he was very encouraging. So that's the benefit of having a mentor or an advisor because one, my girl, now wife, now my mother's my child's mother, she was very supportive in those ups and downs. And so I knew I needed a strong woman by my side. And she was like, babe, don't worry about all this other stuff. Like, you know what you know and just do it. She was like, yo, if you need to reinvest the money on that, because my savings are depleted, I got you. I got the bills, whatever. Just like go and do that. And so, talking with him and a handful of people, I just felt comfortable to go start the idea. And the rest is kind of history. One small part. Along that journey, when I was finishing up the Tech Accelerator, I took a trip over to North Africa with my brothers. And while there, because I was having this problem with my beard, I bought some oils. My brothers all had beards too. We bought some oils and it worked magic on our hair. It helped it fill in. It was a lot softer. And so I had all these pieces like notes from a year ago about how beard oil was always sold out, how men were buying female products, this magical formula, and this mentor who built $100 million e-commerce brand. So all those components, I just kind of sat down, and my wife supported us, kind of sat down, and right after a year and a half of not working, and shutting down the startup, I decided to pursue another startup. And so that was in 2016 and we launched in 2017.
That's an amazing story. I was thinking about it when I was doing my research about, going to Africa, going to the motherland. I watched a video about the pharaohs and not even having like, if they didn't grow a beard, they use, I guess it would be gold and all these other different materials to show that strength and power. Why do you think, since you've been doing this, what is it about the beard that really transforms a man, if you will?
It's just a confidence, man. As I mentioned, a big part of what stops people from going after what they want is essentially it boils down to confidence. And that's why I love this company so much because it's not about like, oh, trying to, I don't want to pretend like I'm the biggest expert on like hair. That's not
Mm-hmm.
what it's about. It's the real thing is giving men confidence in how they look and how you step out each day and the compliments you get. That goes back to your brain and gives you confidence, and that gives you the courage to go out and be a little more entrepreneurial or be a little bit more aggressive and just like go out and think bigger, dream bigger, pray bigger. And so the confidence is what it really gives men. And sadly, women like beards. And so we optimize our lives for like, part of the thing that we optimize for is like um, sexual companionship from, opposite sex or same sex, if, depending on your sexual preference. But people like these beards. And so approval, sexual approval from who you admire and care for helps. And so that's the real reason why people are growing beards. One, if it gives you confidence and other people compliment you and like it. And so I haven't met many women yet that, think that men look better without beards. And so it's just been part of the trend over the last couple of years. Fortunately for us, it's been a good trend.
Awesome. So what's going on with the brother's beard when it won't fill in? You're still struggling, looking straggly or really dry. What is that science behind it, if you will, from what you've learned?
Yep. So some of it's genetics, but if you get to this point where you are now, you have the genetics to grow a beard. So part of it's genetics, and the other is routine.
Mm.
Now, most people live 30 years of not having a beard and then want to grow in 3 to 6 months, and they don't have the I don't know, the knowledge and or the patience to do it. And so what you use on your beard is pretty important. What we found from tapping into this ancient African formula, we've also found that be true for like our products are inspired by the Caribbean and African diaspora. And you got that old grandma, drink this tea, rub this on you and it works.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
it really does. And so the nutrients that we get from these oils really help. So your hair is a big plant. In regular plants, it needs a lot of things, including nutrients. And so what you do when you moisturize your beard, when you put oils on your beard, it essentially penetrates into your hair and stimulates it down at a root level, and it gives your hair, which is essentially a big plant, the nutrients it needs to thrive. And so a lot of the times in our demographic, we either have patches, and it's really because our hair can't grow past a certain point without breaking off because it's brittle, it's dry, it's malnourished. And so the
Mhm.
products that we use helps one just help the foundation of your beard and your hair to grow thicker, fuller, softer, more hydrated. And then the other products just help with the styling aspect of it. So we've got like shampoos that have tea tree oil that helps stimulate the roots of your hair. We've got stuff with shea butter, banana tree extract, argan oil, just all the stuff that are just natural from the motherland and from the Caribbean that people have been using for hundreds of years. And I realized that a lot of the current products are heavy in chemicals. When I started my launch of this company, there's a famous study in Canada. A research team surveyed 1,200 products used by people of color, and 25% of them had chemicals that, if they were at higher dosages, would be called highly hazardous.
Hmm.
But these companies get so smart where they know just where they need to drop it below to not get that warning. But this company did a deep dive and realized that a lot of the crap black people were putting in their hair is just full of crap. And
Mhm.
so part of the reason my products cost a little bit more than something you see in Walmart for $6 is because that has crap in it. And like, they may put a 0.5% of argan oil and like slap argan oil on the name, but
Mhm.
on the label, but it's a bunch of other crap. So we're just focusing on, we've got a lot of other stuff to do. We're focusing on giving our people confidence through clean ingredients.
Mhm.
And, we're dying out here from a bunch of other stuff. We don't want to put stuff in our bodies to help take time off of our life. So
Indeed, indeed. So you end up taking this course with founder, and I remember hearing Nathan Chan. I think he had just started the magazine, and you go through this course and you learn some really interesting things and how to accelerate, how to really expand. Can you talk about that course and the value of taking courses? 'Cause now you have a course. So what's that? What does that mean, and why was it important for you to do it?
I've taken so many courses. I've taken probably 4 or 5 founder courses since launching this brand, but I invest heavily in myself, like $5,000, $6,000 on mastermind coaching programs, conferences. And the reason is, like I mentioned, people know stuff. The only reason I'm not where I need to be or we're not where we need to be is people just have access to information that we don't have. Like if you're a hard worker and you do the work, once you have access to that information, you can't unlearn that information. And so I knew marketing when I launched this course, but I knew nothing else about e-commerce. And I mentioned earlier that I'm always doing stuff I'm unprepared for, and I seek mentors along the way who can help me avoid mistakes. Sometimes it's by volunteering, other times if they have a course, I just buy it. And I knew nothing about like organizationally how to like scale a store, what things I needed, what apps to use. I knew nothing about that. And what I really learned about them was the power of influencer marketing. And so part of why we took off so hard is that I took what I learned about influencer marketing and I added what I already knew about Facebook advertising. At that point, I've spent like maybe a few $100,000 on ads at that point launching my brand. So I coupled them together and it just kind of helped us go off to the like a fast start.
Hearing, Facebook marketing, social media marketing, a lot of times I think people get afraid of the dollar commitment. What if I'm if I have a small business and I'm trying to grow that business and I'm seeking to find opportunities, more business, what's that dollar amount? Where should I start? Because obviously there's a lot of courses out there. There's a lot of companies out there. What are some things that I should be doing? Should I be learning it on my own? What's that dollar amount? Should I consider investing on a monthly basis or a daily basis just to kind of get my feet wet and to see what happens?
For sure. So if you're under $100,000 to $200,000 per year in revenue, you should not outsource to an agency unless you know what's going on. Think about, because when that happens, you essentially become the coach of your business, right? And think about any sport, football, for example. Imagine a coach coaching a team to trying to coach a team to a championship without understanding the plays or what roles people have. You were just essentially letting the players just do what they want to do, and you're hoping you come up with a win. You don't have it. You can't direct strategy. You don't know when people are doing something right or people are doing something wrong. And so as a business owner, there's the most important thing in growing your business is understanding sales and marketing. And if I go hire someone and I say, hey, I don't know anything about ads, I'm looking to hire you to do it, subconsciously they're going to be like, okay, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. So, I have 10 other clients, some of which know what they're talking about. I don't have to bring in my A game with this person. So under $200,000, you should definitely learn the game. And even if you want to one day outsource it. So that's one. Two, you should be careful about free advice. A lot of the times people put free advice up on YouTube, and the successful strategy to perform well online is not only about ads. It's about a sales funnel. It's about customer psychology. It's about a lot of other components. And when you go watch a 20-minute video on YouTube, you only get a fraction of that full recipe. And so, the analogy I like to use is imagine trying to cook some steak on a grill, and you get one advice, they're like, oh, use low temperature. Low temperature for a long time. The other person is high temperature for a short time. But if you get bits and pieces and you try to mix two people's strategy, you're going to get burnt steak or undercooked steak if you cook it at a high temperature for a long time. And so a lot of the disaster I see is when people are afraid to invest in one person, and they keep trying to pick and choose different strategies from different people, and they don't get anywhere. So I would strongly encourage you to go and work with one person to learn a complete strategy. Even if it's not me, figure out someone who you're comfortable with, who for whatever reason you connect with, and partner with them on that. And from a budgeting standpoint, I think it depends on how much you want to go and how much impact. I think $2,500, it's going to get you some good impact. If you have $5,000 to invest over the course of a few months, you're going to get amazing results from that. That could really change the trajectory of your business.
Do you feel as though in learning this knowledge, is it a really steep learning curve? Because again, we're talking people who either never done it, that fear factor is there. I don't know. I get that some people just get overwhelmed and they just want to hand it off, or they want to hand it off to someone else to do it, or they put whatever their idea on the show because they're overwhelmed. It's like, you know what? I don't know how to, I don't know how to create these things. It costs too much, and just give up.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of work.
Mm.
It's a lot of work. And when I first started, I had like a handwritten notebook, and I would literally go through this step each time I launched a campaign. But what I can say is specifically, this is why I created my program the way I did. There are usually two options right now. There's like, watch a course like something like Founder has, and it's all videos. And then if you aren't familiar with it, you're kind of left stuck. Like if it doesn't specifically fit your brand, or if you tried it and it doesn't work, you got to ask some questions in a group, and you just kind of feel like you're out there on your own and it doesn't work. Then the other end of the spectrum is you have like a meetup in person, like a 1 day crash course intense. But then what happens is next month Facebook changes, or you learn something, and then you don't want to have to keep doing VIP sessions. And so the way I design my course is a hybrid of both. You get lifetime access to like video trainings where I recorded everything, my first ads, how to navigate the dashboard, how to communicate with your customer, how to figure out their pain points, all that stuff, which apps to use, how to set up emails, all the other things that make ads work. And then every Monday, you can get on my calendar for a video chat where I can actually take over your screen, jump in your computer, jump in your ads manager, see what's working, what's not. I could show you my screen, my ads, my stuff, and show you why I'm telling you the things that I do. And we do that every week for like 12 weeks. And so by that, you should know what you're doing. And that structure seems to work well, given a little bit of both, because I ain't gonna lie, it is hard. And most people think they want to learn ads, but ads only amplify what's already there. They won't fix a broken business. And so before we even get into ads, we got to worry about your conversions, your messaging, making sure your website performs well, your thing seems like a legit brand, and all these other red like boxes that we need to check before you can actually launch ads. So we cover all of that in that format.
So what are you finding most consistent when it comes to entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs trying to figure this out? What are some gaps that you're feeling?
They're trying to do too much, and they're trying to focus on shiny objects like vanity metrics instead of the things that are really going to move the needle. So I'm a big fan of the 80/20 principle, only focusing on the few things that are really going to move the needle the most. And also, done is better than perfect. We see brands in their 10th year, and we don't realize that that's not how they started. And we put all of this pressure on ourselves to try to be like this 8-figure, 10-year brand in our content, all this other stuff. And so you'll never be able to win like that. Mm-hmm. And so when I help entrepreneurs, I try to help them see that, this is a marathon. There's no overnight success. And although you would like to be like that, you don't need to be like that now to hit that $100,000 or that $500,000 or even that $1 million. And so just taking that big elephant, breaking it down into bite sizes and a simple action plan to follow is what I think is most helpful to new entrepreneurs, and which is also one of the biggest mistakes they make. They try to do too much, and they try to focus on the things that aren't important.
Give us an example of a couple of things that's really important.
So people want to do a lot of these different marketing attacks. Should I be on Clubhouse? Should I do this hashtag strategy on Instagram? All that stuff. The biggest question people can't answer is, who's your product meaningful to? And why is your product meaningful to that person? And why is your product better than the other person? So it's an analogy called the 3 Ps: person, pain, and promise. Which person is your brand going to be meaningful to? What specific pain or problem in their life is it going to solve? And what promise can you make that specific person about that problem, that if they give you their hard-earned cash, you're going to make a promise that you can help them with that pain? Most people can't do that. And no ad in the world is going to help you sell customers if you can't articulate your clear value proposition. That's the biggest one. So spending time there. The second thing is, most people actually never talk to customers before they launch. They come up with this cool idea, they maybe talk to their loved ones or their friends and family, and all they're going to do is tell you that your ideas are great because they want to be supportive, right? It's the ugly baby syndrome. No one wants to tell you that your baby's ugly. So you don't want to know that your baby's ugly, so you avoid talking to customers. And you do all this stuff, build a website, get a logo, do all the stuff that doesn't matter. You launch and you launch to crickets, where you may get some sales, but it's not the potential of what you know it could be. And just simply having a conversation with customers or potential customers and asking them a specific series of questions could create so much clarity around how you need to reposition your brand so that all of a sudden you make those changes, those ads start converting like wildfire. Those
Mm.
posts start resonating with those people and they convert. Those emails convert. You know, you have real intentionality about how you're going to grow your brand. And most specifically, you realize that you're not in the business of selling products. You're in the business of serving a specific community and helping better their lives in a certain way. And you're monetizing that relationship through a product or a service. But if you take that slight shift, you become so much clearer on your brand's purpose and your company's purpose. And when purpose aligns with, you know, a buyer that needs what you have, sky's the limit.
Why would a person consider a service-based business over a product business starting out?
Because of the lower capital expenses needed to start up. You know, you can buy a course, learn something, and then within 90 days start charging for that. Or you can take something that you already do in your personal job or your corporate job and start charging for that. So it's really inexpensive to start. Maybe $200, get a website up, you know, figure out a way to collect payment, and you can start charging. A product-based business, you know, it may take a few $1,000s to start, and you have to be a real entrepreneur to really grow that because you have to reinvest in inventory and stuff like that. But, you know, long term, I think e-commerce is definitely the wave of the future. I have coaching and I have e-commerce. E-commerce is, you know, something I recommend everyone get into.
Mm. So we're going to have a little bit of fun because I know we're getting close to our hour. So, you know, the whole thing with Jumpschool in the things I post, it's really about, it's a style channel. At the end of the day, there is the importance of understanding business and things of those natures. But let's talk a little bit about your steez, man. So what would you call your personal style?
I don't even know what it's called. It's called, how would you describe this? I will describe what I am, and you would tell me how to categorize that. So
Yeah.
I like Eurofit stuff. Not flashy. I wouldn't buy the stuff with the logos, but I would like the expensive stuff without the logos. And I mix like I might mix some slacks with some sneakers or like a blazer with jeans and some low top premium shoes or something like that. What would you call that kind of vibe?
I will call that you're a minimalist adult street person. Someone who likes streetwear,
That
but
that's
you
actually
like.
pretty accurate, yeah.
Sounds like now I've seen some outfits. I was like, okay, come on, got some game there. You know, the button up all the way to the neck, plaid shirt. I think it was a tartan plaid and some trousers. So this is gonna be a little fun, and some of this is obvious because it's
Graylin said, "Don't forget the diaper bag."
so Graylin. You know, shout out to Graylin and Karen Pilgrim because that's how I heard of you.
Oh,
Um,
that's what's up.
Yeah, so you know, the morning meetup or Sleepless for Suckers, Sleepless Nights, that whole crew, we've been together for years. So I like to say thank you to Graylin and Karen for putting you in front of me. Like this is some guy you got to meet at some point. So thanks, fellas, and Sister Karen. So this is gonna be a quick either or: beard or goatee,
Beard, brother.
fade or bald,
Fade.
fedora or snapback.
Fedora.
A little bit of music, mumble rap, the new age, those guys, I don't know their names, or that trap music, or that
I don't know 'em
90s,
either.
that
90s New York
90s.
music, brother. Give me some Biggie and Jay-Z and Nas all day.
There you go. T-shirt or button up.
T-shirt as of late.
Denim jacket or hoodie.
Denim jacket.
Jeans or chinos.
Chinos.
Tie or no tie.
No tie.
Lace up or loafers?
Lace up.
Sneakers or boots?
Sneakers.
You have defined, just like I said earlier, you are a minimalist. You know, you're naturally a minimalist, but definitely adult street. So it's dope. Even in the music, you know, you go back to the 90s when it comes to music. So my final question, and I'll wait to ask that question, but where can everyone find you, Gamal, if they have the opportunity in the future to take advantage of your course? Please share with everyone.
Yeah, I am minimalist in how you can find me as well. I am primarily active on Instagram. Don't need 6 different places. So find me on Instagram here at Gamal Codner. I check that, you know, fairly recently, pretty much every day. And my website, gamalcodner.com, you could find more information about what I do there, also in my Instagram bio. And real quickly about what I do, I run a family-owned business. We create products that help men of color feel confident and be healthier each day. We sell grooming products, and we recently got into healthcare wellness products, so vitamin supplements, which is pretty cool. My wife and I and my brother, we run that business, so it's been pretty interesting. Kind of retired myself and my wife from corporate to do this. So it's I'm passionate about helping families create freedom through entrepreneurship. So I do coach other entrepreneurs, specifically e-commerce entrepreneurs, because I only coach what I know and I live e-commerce daily. So I don't try to overextend myself. So if you are an e-commerce brand looking to go from 4 to 5 figures or 5 to 6, even 6 to 7, we have in my coaching program, we've now worked with about 65 people over the year and a half. We've got about right about a dozen reported companies who are now doing 7 figures, about 2 dozen companies who are now doing 6 figures, and a bunch of people on their way there. So yeah, if you have an e-commerce brand and you want to learn about how to grow your brand while still, you know, not sacrificing your time and actually making money from it, love to help you there. Shoot me a direct message. We work with like 5 to 10 people per month. So we're actually closing the doors for January's enrollment pretty much in the morning. We've got 1 spot left. So yeah, that's me, man. That's a kid from Jamaica you can find on Instagram. Oh, Angela is on. Angela is my rock star. She used to hold down our warehouse for us in Atlanta before we moved to Fort Lauderdale.
That's what's
Miss you
up.
too, Angela.
So you're in Fort Lauderdale now?
Yeah, we moved probably about 6 months ago.
Okay.
We moved down here to be
South.
closer to family.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. We got family down there.
Where are you at?
I'm right outside of DC in Maryland. So shout out to my family in Fort Lauderdale. First exit outside of Pompano Beach.
Absolutely.
So my final question to you: if you could spend 24 hours with any creative, dead or alive, and really get the game, the next level game that you know where you are, but if that person, or male or female, could give you some game, who would you spend some time with?
Jeff Bezos.
Bezos. And why?
He is killing the e-commerce game. He's so forward thinking. He's been setting this play up for 20 years now. Maybe not 20 years, but well over a decade. And he's just so thoughtful about his approach. He's like chess with everybody. Like he acquired Whole Foods. Everyone's like, what the hell are you doing? Acquiring retail. Now everyone's ordering groceries from home, right? And just his approach to just strategically thinking about the future of e-commerce and just how he's just invested in himself over and over and over and put everything on the line to build what he's built. I would just love to be able to spend a day with him to just learn what I don't know. He's the most successful e-commerce person in the world, so why not?
That makes perfect sense. And folks, there you have it. Gamal, I just want to thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure spending this time with you. For everyone who hung out with us tonight, thank you for hanging out with Ihsaan and Gamal here at Jumpschool. You have a wonderful evening. Be blessed. And brother, I'm going to hit you later. Let's chop it up, man. And let's figure this thing out. Let's get some style game to the masses.
There you go. When I'm not going to the warehouse every day, I can get fly like you. So can't wait.
That's what's up. Be blessed. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure's mine.
I hope you enjoyed today's amazing interview. Today's episode was brought to you by my new book, Why Style Matters, The Mindset of Dressing Well and How It Impacts Your Life. To get your autographed copy, click the link in the description.